Hey man, let's talk about something a lot of guys feel deep down but are too afraid to say out loud. Having a girlfriend in today's world just isn't worth it. Not for most men. Not in this modern dating environment where the lines between love and leverage have blurred, where relationships have become less about deep connection and more about status, attention, and convenience. I'm not saying love doesn't exist. I'm not saying every woman is the same. But what I am saying is this. If you're a man with purpose, building a future, working on yourself, then tying yourself down to a modern relationship might just be the fastest way to lose everything you've been grinding for. And that's a hard pill to swallow until you've seen it happen. Until you've been the guy who gave everything to a woman and got emptied in return. Relationships today are no longer about building something together. They're about what you can provide, how well you can entertain, how much you're willing to bend, and how closely you fit her ever-changing checklist. The roles have flipped. Loyalty is optional. Commitment is conditional. Effort is one-sided. You're expected to be her therapist, her provider, her emotional support animal, her personal cheerleader, and if you fail at any of those roles for even a moment, you're suddenly not enough. And here's the catch, she doesn't have to meet the same standards. You're not allowed to have expectations without being labeled controlling. You're not allowed to want peace without being called boring. You're not allowed to lead without being accused of being toxic. So I'll say it again, in this climate, having a girlfriend just isn't worth it. Most modern relationships are not partnerships, they're transactions. She gives you affection as long as you keep performing. You stop performing, and she stops caring. You get sick, stressed, focused on your goals, and suddenly the vibe changes. The energy shifts. She becomes distant. You start wondering what you did wrong, but you didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped feeding the machine. And the truth is, today's dating scene has turned love into a performance sport. And the man who refuses to play, who wants depth over dopamine, gets labeled as boring, emotionally unavailable, or too serious. You can be the best version of yourself and still be tossed aside for the guy who just made her laugh that day. And the loyalty? It's not what it used to be. Social media has made everyone feel like they have options on demand. One small argument and she's posting thirst traps on Instagram. One disagreement and she's texting her guy friend who's been lurking in the shadows waiting for his chance. You as a man are no longer competing with just her past. You're competing with hundreds of guys in her DMs, TikToks showing her what her dream man should look like, and a society that constantly tells her she deserves better, even when she brings nothing to the table. How can you build a relationship on something so unstable? How can you focus on your mission when your peace is constantly interrupted by emotional chaos? Modern relationships drain your energy. The emotional labor you're expected to perform is staggering. You're always walking on eggshells, trying to decode her moods, validate her feelings, prove your love, and make her feel special every single day. And what happens when you slip up once? She questions everything. And here's the kicker. If you express that you need emotional support, if you open up and say, I'm struggling, suddenly you're too sensitive or not a real man. You're allowed to give, but not to need. You're expected to pour from an empty cup while pretending you're full. That's not love. That's emotional slavery. Let's not ignore the cost. Mentally, emotionally, financially. Having a girlfriend today often means funding her lifestyle, absorbing her emotional baggage, managing her insecurities, and still being held to impossible standards. And when the relationship ends, which it likely will, you don't just lose her. You lose time, energy, focus, money, and sometimes even your self-respect. And for what? For a few cute selfies, temporary sex, and constant emotional turbulence? That's not a relationship. That's an expensive, unstable roller coaster ride that ends with you questioning your own worth. Modern relationships are not about growth anymore. They're about comfort. She doesn't want to grow with you. She wants to enjoy the lifestyle you've built. She wants the benefits of a strong man without the sacrifice it takes to become one. And when things get hard, she doesn't push through. She posts quotes about choosing herself and walks away. The old school values of commitment, resilience, and loyalty have been replaced with self-obsession, hyper-independence, and entitlement. And if you don't feed into that ego, you're gone, replaced, forgotten. That's the reality most guys are waking up to. You have to understand, having a girlfriend today isn't the same as having a partner. A real partner adds peace to your life. She supports your vision. She understands your need for space, focus, and growth. But what most guys are getting today is not that. They're getting women who want attention, drama, and control, who treat love like a job application, benefits expected, performance reviewed monthly. If you're not constantly proving yourself, you're deemed distant. If you want time to work on your purpose, she complains about being neglected. And if you set boundaries, she calls you controlling. This isn't love, it's manipulation disguised as emotional vulnerability. It's not even about hating women, it's about recognizing that the relationship game has changed, and most men are still playing by outdated rules. You were taught that if you treat her right, stay loyal, and give her everything, she'll stay. But that formula doesn't work anymore. Today, the more you give, the less she values you. The more available you are, the more replaceable you become. She doesn't want the man who does everything. She wants the man who doesn't need to. She's drawn to strength, to detachment, to mystery. And you, thinking that devotion equals reward, are left broken when your efforts go unnoticed. And here's the hardest part to accept. Most girlfriends today are not built for hard times. The moment life hits you with a setback, financial, emotional, mental, she's not sticking around to build. She's looking for a replacement who's already built. Because modern loyalty is conditional. It's about what can you give me right now, not how can we build together. So if you think having a girlfriend today means having someone by your side through thick and thin, you're lying to yourself. You're living in a fantasy that no longer matches the reality outside your door. You have to ask yourself, what are you really getting from this? What are you sacrificing for the title of boyfriend? Are you growing? Are you at peace? Are you focused, or are you constantly distracted, anxious, drained, and stuck in emotional loops, trying to make someone happy who doesn't even know what she wants? Because that's what most guys are experiencing today. They're not loved, they're used, and they're clinging to relationships that destroy their ambition, their masculinity, and their peace. Having a girlfriend today often means handing over your power. You start changing how you talk, who you hang out with, how you spend your time, all to avoid conflict. You start tiptoeing around her insecurities, giving up your goals to make more time for her, and slowly eroding your own identity in the name of compromise. But it's not compromise, it's self-abandonment. And the worst part, she still isn't satisfied. You've sacrificed your masculinity, and she still wants more. That's not love. That's slow suicide for your soul. You don't need a girlfriend to feel complete. You need clarity. You need discipline. You need to focus on becoming the kind of man who doesn't chase love because he embodies it. The kind of man who doesn't need a relationship to feel valuable. The kind of man who's so rooted in purpose, so obsessed with self-mastery, that any woman who enters his life either aligns with his mission or exits on her own. That's the mindset you need to win today. Stop thinking that being in a relationship validates you. It doesn't. In fact, the wrong relationship will rob you of everything you've worked for, your momentum, your drive, your focus, your confidence, and all for what? So you can say, I'm not single, so you can fit in, so you can post couple photos while your soul quietly dies inside. That's not worth it. That's not winning. That's conformity, dressed up as connection. You need to learn how to be alone without being lonely. You need to master solitude. That's where real strength is born. Because the man who doesn't need a woman to feel whole is the one who becomes magnetic. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't beg for attention. He commands respect. He's not distracted by love. He's driven by purpose. And when love comes, it aligns with him. It doesn't derail him. I'm not saying never date. I'm saying don't invest deeply until a woman proves she deserves to be part of your life. Don't hand over your time, energy, and emotional access just because she's attractive or gives you attention. Let her earn your seriousness. Let her prove she can add peace to your life. Let her show you she can handle the hard times, not just enjoy the good ones. That's the only kind of relationship worth having. Anything less is a liability. A lot of you need to hear this. Being single isn't a curse. It's freedom. It's the space to build, grow, explore, and conquer. It's the time to become a man, so powerful, so self-assured, that no woman could ever manipulate you again. It's the time to raise your standards so high that most women don't even qualify. And that's a good thing, because the few that do, they're the ones worth keeping. The rest? Let them chase the clowns. Having a girlfriend today without clarity, purpose, and boundaries is like walking into a fire without protection. You will get burned, you will get drained, and you will lose parts of yourself you may never get back unless you learn how to lead. Unless you learn how to say no. Unless you understand that not all love is worth the price. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you value your peace more than her presence. You've been lied to. You were told relationships complete you. But the truth is, they often consume you. Not because love is wrong, but because the modern version of it is built on fantasy, entitlement, and confusion. If you're not extremely selective, extremely disciplined, and deeply self-aware, you will find yourself enslaved to a woman who doesn't even love herself, trying to save a relationship that's never been built on solid ground, and that's a battle you'll never win. So here's the truth, brother. Having a girlfriend today isn't worth it unless you're already complete without her, unless she brings more peace than problems, unless she respects your purpose more than her preferences, unless she's an asset, not a liability. And until you find a woman like that, stay single, build yourself, protect your energy, guard your purpose, because the world doesn't need more men in relationships. It needs more men in control of their lives.